Alright, so hello, my name is Bloom. Alright, yeah, now today, well, since Electronic Frontier Foundation, we're talking about this bill called AB 2564, called Surveillance Price, I think it's called, yeah, what's the name of it? It's called Surveillance Pricing Protection Act. Okay, and here, the subject is, so, it's made by Assembly Member Chris Ward, okay, and alright, yeah. In San Diego, okay, yeah. So it's supposed to be prohibiting surveillance pricing or personalized pricing based on consumer personal data file, location, or browsing history. Yeah, so it's supposed to prohibit surveillance pricing. That's what it is. I really don't know why, but I think it's yeah, it's the. So you got the Companies and Consumer Privacy Act in 2018, and then the Consumer Rights Act in 2020. I think because of this law, that's why. But I want to get into let's read about this, all right? So the 16th law, the California Consumer Privacy Act of 2018. Or double CPA grants the various rights to protect personal information is collected by the sold of business. It's defined by the included by right the sales of personal information. So third party is not to sell personal information. The existing law, the California Privacy Rights Act of 2020. It's by the voter publication 24 at the November 2020. Okay, third wide general election admitted of the reneged of the double CPA establishes the California Protection Agency. It's a for administrative power, interdiction, and enforced provisions. So the 16th law requires retail grocery store department within general detail merchandise store to use a point of sale system to have a clearly readable price indicated on 85% of the total number package of the consumer of the commodities offered for sale, such as exemptions. This bill is subject certain exceptions. Limit retailer engaging surveillance pricing. The bill would define surveillance pricing to mean offering and customized prices of the customer group of the customer or whole part of the definable collected of the surveillance technology as associated. Alright, now the bill will declare waiver provisions against public honesty and enforceable. This bill will declare provisions of the purposes until the California Privacy Act of 2020. And there it is. Okay. And it's made by 2 Democrats. Just let you know anyway. Even though I do promote this bill. So that's good. You can also read it right here. I'm not going to read the whole thing about the bill because it would be too much for you to read. I just read this part here. But I'm also going to read about why are gay bars building databases of their Patreons. Let's read about that. It's probably, I think their meaning about the word gay is homosexuality. And no, I don't like. Let me tell you something. I'm against homosexuality, but I don't always try to talk about it because YouTube what to do is just delete. And I want to get to this: delete your channel. Sorry, not delete. YouTube wants to do is delete your video and also give you a strike if you're just because you're just because you're hating just because you're just speaking out against homosexuality or something, even though the Bible's against it. That's why I'm against it. That's why the Bible's against sodomy. Okay? And it's not that easy to learn what the Bible says. You know, I'm not going to go over all the verses why the Bible's against sodomy or homosexuality. It's just that I know it is. And, you know, I'm not going to go over the verses of all of it. That's why. The Bible calls it sodomy. And people who practice homosexuality, according to the Bible, is called a sodomite. That's what the Bible teaches. If you don't like it, well, that's what the Bible teaches. I talk about the King James Bible. Anyway, and that's why. I believe what the Bible says. If you don't, well, that's what I believe. You know, well, too mistake or too bad. That's what I believe anyway. Anyway, read this part anyway. So research reports raise alarm of the use of Patriot Scan, of ID checking, and also a face scanning system. Multiple LGBTQ car plus bars in San Francisco Castro neighborhood. Much of attention is focused reports that the system photographs Patreons that return reviews. The question for what those images are facial recognition. So border privacy deserves scrutiny for years. Patreon has marketed sub of an ID verification tool, but the system allows bars that clubs identify Patreons to keep records about them and share information about revenues. As no news article published in 2018 recommended, Patreon Scan built a network allowed for participating bars and flag Patreons for share information about the other establishments. And in California, it's not clear that Patreon Scan's business model of scanning IDs or sharing information about those scans other bars comports with the law. California's ID privacy law, which was amended in 2018, did ID scans and states that no business shall retain or use information that scan ID card except limited purposes such as verify age or legal requirement of prevent fraud. So this is another age verification thing. But let's keep reading it anyway. So Californians should be concerned about businesses collect information from government IDs in the databases to go, and that's information with whether they may be allowed to other public gathering places, especially strong LGBTQ spaces, as long as refugees to go without being tracked or monitored or put on lists. HR Patriot Scan questions or practices views on California ID law. The referred of the published IQ question is Patriot Scan privacy complaint in California, which claims they use Patreon clouds of legal in California. They also said that Patreon Scan does not a facial recognition in North America or any kind of automated analysis of an ID or the live photo image. The California legislature has investigated Patreon's business model. So it'll be this law here. AB, where is it? Oh yeah, AB 2769. So it's this bill here. Driver's license, so it's this privacy driver's license information. Okay, that's what it is. Okay, a detail of this business revealing Patriot's own materials. Now, the California State Judiciary Committee has found the company had collected and retained information on 61,087 consumers of Sacramento alone. In the first month of 2018, Margaret figure city whose population had raised a 500,000. Now, lawmakers also have felt at the time Patriot Scan maintain information for at least 90 days or longer in some cases. Share information practicing bars, maintain bans. That's average for more than 19 years. A Patreon Scan or public safety report using 10,000 scans collected on a single day report on where customers live or how they traveled or how they made any different revenues of customers Patreon sized. This is not checking IDs at the door. Patreon Scan was building a database. Immigrant Rights Group Coalition, and for privacy and commitments. Okay. Immigrant rights. But hold on about the concern of the time of the ID database is saying that. Placing individuals on database threat of public safety has significant information consequences of collective deportation. Revealing of current status, detail, future, and immigration relief. Today, Patreon Scan states that retains preservation of all the customers of 21 days. About the flagged customers up to 5 years, and this includes the customer name, date of birth, photograph, gender, and zip code. This also includes dates and times that the consumer enter particular bars. Its databases are a grave privacy threat. Personal data are routinely stolen by thieves and used by a company's employees. It's used by the government agencies for new purposes of companies' executives. California law still bans ID databases and bars and shall follow that law. In 2018, California lawmakers closed a review of the law by existing law permitted businesses retailing information about how they swiped a California driver's license, except the purposes of the illegal requirements to introduce a warrant preventing fraud and abuse of material representation. Now, if any companies like the Patreon Scan Administrator amend the ID law make clear and some restrictions on business that swipe ID cards also apply to IDs and scan. The Patreon Scan also changed arguing of the preservability of variation among ours, proceeding of the whether of the made Patreons. The bill became law anyway, but yet Patreon Scan continues to market sell the system. Apparently retains information of scan IDs, allows participating revenues flag Patreon's information across its network. The minimum it raises a serious question of those fit with the California existing ID privacy law. The bar and nightlife owners there's a Patreon should look twice at their customers and consider growing back up their standard. Visual ID checks and investigative effective keeping up the Patreons of don't present of the databases of our patrons. Okay, so revenue is vertical communities. The LGBTQ community, and it's a technology even higher. It's disappointing that the law means that California's more well known LGBTQ plus nightlife spots instead of the Patreon adapters for can be safe as they swallow Patreon's data. Third-party database, and these businesses should reject Patreon Scan, return up the state ID checks and other bars, and even do not its customers, and this game still matters. So this law was made in 2018. Okay. Oh, so this book got signed into law in 2018. But I want to talk about. So it's called the driver's license information. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Okay. So I didn't know about that one. And now let's talk about. Let's go back to talking about this bill here. All right. In San Francisco, don't fall for the Ministry of Defense of surveillance pricing. Let's read about that now. So the concept of surveillance pricing is just one part of the larger problem in the business model. corporations a maximum of the privacy. The common business model of the systematic harvest, collect, store as much of this as possible, and monetize and sale. Consumers of the corporation say are product of the two different places of personal information. That's why EF support. That's why EFF supports AB 2654, authored by Senator Chris Ward, which bans this harmful practice. Its organization based in San Francisco was proud to learn that San Francisco Broad supervisors also had also induced a resolution and then support the legislation. However, we're disappointed to learn that San Francisco Broad of the supervisors has stole the vote of resolution in their own support of AB 2064 and administered AB San Francisco Chamber of Commerce. Constitutions in the bill will warn debunk concerns. We said that the supervisors were asking them to consider. Banning surveillance pricing would be good for customers, and it would be found that companies with reservation. For instance, the VC found last year. If the customer has found a new parent of the consumer may have intentionally be shown higher of their monitors. So the first page of their in-app search results, so based on original app of the code time and purchase. Let's say again, the U.S. government has found out the companies that may seek use surveillance pricing and change parents searching at their monitor in the middle of the night, more money, and time of need. Privacy is a human right. Well, that's why we shouldn't have age verification or age attestation. That's why. You know. And if it's already law, then it needs to get repealed. Somewhat. And somehow, you know, in the next legislative section, that's why. And I know about that. I'll get into that soon. I'm not... Now... I'll get into that after I finish. Yeah, I agree with the person on Switch to Linux. We need parental neglect laws. You know, laws that's talking about parental controls and stuff. I agree on that, but I'm not sure how to make I'm not sure how to do that kind of law, and that's why. I can tell my local representatives about it, but I'm not sure how to do that. That's why. I might need help with the parental neglect laws, and that's why. And let me know in the comments below if you can help me on that. But anyway, that's just keep reading. So not something that people should understand as a currency product. That's how, and the impact price on groceries and pay privacy schemes the company charges at the privacy of the reviewers to submit of the price of the personal data. Surveillance pricing is another version of their practice. You should never have to worry about the privacy rights depending on how much you make. At a time where prices of everyday goods continue to climb, some surveillance pricing vendors note they're using personalization that could lead lower prices than consumers. Yet, some recent studies indicate there will be losers and winners. Based on factors such as whether a consumer is winning or able to switch products, who loses or wins will turn on the accuracy of underlying data, and yet surveillance pricing is also based on false information. That said, as surveillance pricing has the capability to lead to lower prices, which often it doesn't. We oppose this another way the corporation trying to make customers pay for their privacy. The San Francisco Chambers of Commerce concerns were addressed in the text of AB 2654. The chamber raises the question how business to comply with the law and admits the bill is quite clear. Retailers should not engage in surveillance pricing, and it's also a good definition what surveillance pricing is. The banned practice also defined as the customized price for a good specific consumer or group of consumers based on the whole or in part of the personally identifiable information collected through the electronic surveillance, including that the information was acquired from a third party. In other words, surveillance pricing is a customized price based on personal information. So the ESF chambers of letter of the bills discounts ability ways. In this way too, AB 2654 is quite clear. The bill includes 3 brand carve-outs. Broad carve-outs, yeah. And then sure doesn't disrupt loyalty programs and discounts. The first price differences based solely on costs associated with providing with good different consumers. Second, for discount offering consumer for to make a service. Okay, third, a discount because of the retailer's website that is for me based on one criteria that anyone can meet, such as signing up or mail list, membership of the body defined group such as seniors, and participation in a loyalty program. That's basically what it is. And then what of the studio discount and movies not be a problem. It's a minute collection of information of the someone as a senior. Whether a price should be more or less, I mean it is. There's a blog post online of the support of this bill. Surveillance pricing is very similar to online behavioral advertising, a business practice of the EFF urges of governments to ban. Both practices and desires of businesses to collect as much data as possible. In order to monetize it and practice that leads some business and collate the stored data and disorders about its later use. Both practices by surveillance, both dossiers and millennium-based element of ambiguous choices by alternate advertisement practice and prices we see online. We urge that surveillance go broad and supervisors join a collection of groups that support AB 2564 and against companies of minor impersonation to change this different prices the same thing. We need our supervisors here. Well, yes, I know. So yes, if privacy was a human right, yes, it is true, then that's why we should not have age verification or age attestation laws at all, and that's why. So I'm look, I'm all for idea of banning surveillance pricing. That's great, but we need to stop the age verification and attestation laws. The best thing to do is go to baroniabills.com and do that. That's why. Tend to vote no on these. And the other ones are already lawed, we have to ask for repeal. And I'll get to that at a different time. But we need to do is, even if we have to do it on their website, that's why. Now, I'm not... Sure. Now, if I was a politician, just saying, if I was a politician, I would probably do is create laws that will help protect people's privacy online. You know, and I will create parental neglect laws and stuff like that. But it depends. I don't want, if age verification was coming into play, and if I was a politician, I would just vote no on every age verification law or age attestation law there is. Just saying, if I was a politician, I would probably make sure that everyone has their privacy online. I'll make sure of that. You know, Yeah, I'll make sure everybody's privacy is protected online. That's what I would do anyway. That's what I would do if I was a politician, you know. Now, finding what's in the Epstein files, well, that's another thing we have to do. That's that's what we have to do as well. Hope we can do that in the near future. You know, that's why we need. Hopefully, we can get young people to become politicians, and in the future, and hopefully, we can get people to protect our privacy instead of the ones that are trying to take away our privacy, and that's why. You know, that's why we need it here in the. I know that I'm not just talking about here in the U.S., but everywhere else in the rest of the world. That's why. Hopefully, you can worry about that in the future. You know, that's why. Well, that's why you can start voting in November, and another time you have to start voting again in November of 2028, and that's why. Oh, there's another one. Okay, let's talk about the firearm thing. Okay, I'll talk about that a different time. Anyway, I have to go right now. But I don't know what else to talk. I don't know what other bill I'll be talking about in California. You can let me know which bill. If you want me, if there's another bill you want me to talk about in California or some other state in the U.S., you can let me know in the comments below. Anyway, I have to go right now. But thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and say goodbye. Adios. Oh yeah, and if you want to watch my How to Go to Heaven video, you can also watch this on Rumble or BitChute anyway. So yeah, goodbye on adios and yeah. And Zaijian.